Welcome to the Psychic Traineeship. I'm your host, Gabrielle, better known as Gabs, and I'm a psychic medium, trance channeler, and psychic development teacher. And I help women all around the world reconnect to their divine, intuitive feminine and become certified psychics, Akashic record readers, and healers, all through my program called the Psychic Traineeship. So if you're ready to activate your inner psychic, you're in the right place. On this podcast, we're going to be talking about all things intuitive, psychics, mediums. We're going to be talking to special guests. We're going to be talking about astrology, numerology, human design, talking about what it's like to truly live a psychic life and how easy it gets to be, and how good it is when you're connected to your spirit team and how easy life flows. So if you're ready to quantum leap into your most intuitive selves, let's go. What are we waiting for? Let's dive in to this week's episode. Welcome to this week's podcast. My name's Gabrielle. I'm your host. I'm a trance channel and psychic development teacher. And today I really want to talk about something incredible I learned from my own practice this morning. So I'm a pretty ritualistic gal these days. I, for as long as I can remember, have struggled to have a practice. I struggle to have some form of consistency. And it's because I told myself what I thought I should do every day. And now I understand that my practice needs to be based on how I feel. Because how I feel could dictate I need a lot of different things. I might need a cacao ceremony one morning close to my bleed. Or I might need to get up and dance and shake my body and shake out my nervous system really close to my ovulation. Right? But I have now created a temple of time that I get up and do whatever my heart desires. And this is huge for me. I've been a psychic development teacher for over 5 years now, and fully being in this newfound temple I have has completely changed my life. And this morning in my own temple, I wake up, cuddle my girlfriend, we talked a lot, we worked through some shadows that were coming up. I got to do this most beautiful energy healing on her right in front of this altar, and it's just so beautiful to get to really give her what she needed in that moment. And it reminded me how blessed I am to have the ability to move my energy every day. I don't need to go to a healer or a teacher or someone outside of myself, because I am the oracle. I am able to move my own energy, and that for other people. Like, how insanely incredible is that? That I get to now offer what I gave to myself, right? And this is how psychic development should go. We should have our own temple time and then retreat out of our darkness and come and share the light. So in my temple this morning, I've been really struggling to connect, guys. Like, I had a yeast infection this week. My stomach has been so off. I've been having gut imbalances, problems that I've been healing so this year. It's been absolutely incredible. But that meant last week, when I was in the thick of it, when you have candida or a yeast infection, it's actually limiting your yoni's power. And I really struggled to connect all last week. It wasn't that I was not connected. It's just that it was so dampened. And you know what it brought me back to? Before I became a psychic, a medium, and a trance channel. And it showed me what it was like to be disconnected. And I'm so grateful for today. I'm so fucking grateful that I got to meditate this morning. I dropped into my meditation. It calmed my nervous system. And then I moved on into psychic activation. Now, meditation is one focus, right? So whenever I talk about meditation, maybe we're meditating, focusing on our little toe, or on loving awareness, or maybe we're doing a meditative walk. We're doing one thing genuinely, right? And the difference between that and psychic activation is you have a lot of intentions in psychic activation, right? So today I sat down, Archangel Michael came straight away and he was like touching my shoulders and he was like, oh my gosh, hi. And I was like, oh my gosh, hi, I haven't seen you in a while. And his presence was just so beautiful and overwhelming because I haven't been able to hold this frequency in a week. And I didn't make it mean anything about myself. I just made it mean that right now my energy isn't great and my body is working it out because my body, mind, and spirit work in harmony. My spirit and your spirit is so fucking intelligent, right? It's so fucking intelligent. But when our body can't hold the frequency of our intelligence, we lose ourselves. We lose connection to our highest energy, our highest source, our highest teacher. So, and this is literally the main issue most people have with psychic development. It's not that they're not connected. It's that their frequency of their body can't hold the wisdom of their soul. And that's actually the best problem to have. I can help you with that problem in 3 to 6 months. In 9 months, you would become a certified healer and psychic and teacher, right? But when we have a lower body frequency problem, it's not about just going to feel good. Like that is the quickest based belief change we think we can do. But really, when we're psychic and we want to truly embody our gifts, we actually need to truly change our frequency. And the only truest way to do that is change your unconscious belief systems. Because if you believe you can't, you won't. And if you believe you can't be happy, it's really hard to raise your frequency. And if you feel you're in servitude to the world instead of yourself, it is near impossible to drag your frequency up. It's near impossible to drag your frequency up if your beliefs, your biggest beliefs, can't have what I want. I've got to go to work. This has to get done. I should, because I'm not enough. It is so hard to connect to your higher self, to your innate nature, if you are struggling in your body, right? This can be fixed. This can be worked through with shadow work. This can be worked through with frequency work, energy work. This can be worked through movement. This can work through becoming a somatic psychic, right? It's such a fixable problem. So last week when I experienced this disconnection, I had no clairvoyance. I had clairvoyance when I was in class in sisterhood, because when we are with a group of psychics, it is a collective vibration raiser, right? You walk into a room of powerful women, what do you feel? You feel it. Feel it in your bones, right? And that is a gift. And what that does is it raises the collective energy, which allows a psychic to push up their energy and be able to connect to their highest self. And this is why psychic development always works, because you're learning to hold a new frequency that you get from the collective group. And you learn to integrate that over 12 months. This is why my course always works, right? But so last week, right? Last week I was struggling. I sat in my meditations, I sat in my psychic activation. I got lots of messages claircognizantly. This was how my gifts first showed up to me. I was very claircognizant. I knew what to say always. And I was still only very claircognizant when I started doing readings. And back then they were 44 Australian dollars for 45 minutes. It was ridiculous. So, why am I telling you this? So this morning I woke up and it was a doozy. I sat in my activation practice, Archangel Michael stepped forward and he started to deliver these codes to me. He started to give me a healing and I'm like, holy shit, I love being psychic. How cool is that? That I can invite in, or for myself, I can shift my own frequency. That is just one of the benefits of being psychic. But the other is the mediumship. Mediumship is something that I've done for a really long period of time. And this morning I had my grandmother, who I've never met, step through. I had my nan. She's always here with me. I had my grandfather. I had a friend from school show up, babysitter, and my nan's best friend show up. And they all hugged me and gave me unconditional love and told me why I love living and what they miss about living and why they're choosing to reincarnate. And it healed such a part of my soul to hear my grandmother be like, I'm going to incarnate this time in a healthier body. And I was like, that's so amazing. And she's like, yeah, this time is really about working on my mental health and really learning to prioritize my needs. And I was like, by the way, I should send this to my mother because that's how and she would probably love to hear that. And really work on independence in a way that also connects to being in larger groups and how she wants to model independence very differently to how she did it last time. And I got to hear from someone who passed away when he was 22. And I got to hear about how he's incarnating and how he is so excited because he watched over his daughter, because spirit is omnipresent. And what I mean by that is there is a part of you in the spirit world right now. So if you've ever gone to a psychic and they're reading you, but a slightly different version, it's generally because they're pulling from the unconscious collective, which is also called the quantum field. And they're actually reading the highest version of you. Your higher self is connected to you at all times, but your highest potential is in multiple places at once. And how he's spending all of this time with his daughter and how beautiful it is and how she still gets to see him, but she's slightly growing out of her skills to feel him. And he's kind of sad about that, but also know that he primed her to know him, even though they didn't have a lot of time together on this planet. And when I'm psychic and being psychic, so often people say, it must be so cool that you get to help people. And it must be so amazing you have all of these tools. But honestly, the greatest part of psychic development is becoming your own healer, your own oracle, your own medicine woman, and being able to relay messages that your soul needs for you. And just like once we cross over to the other side, our guides aren't condescending. They don't tell us what to do. They don't show us the way. They ask us what we desire. And when I was working this morning, I got such a reminder of this. I was sitting there and my guides were like kind of on the outside, and my grandparents and all of my friends. And I had to invite them in, right? And so often when we're feeling lower vibration, and especially last week was probably the least I've worked with my guides in quite a few years. I've been sick for a while, but last week was kind of like, I feel like the final hit to my illness and getting better and feeling more empowered and strong and vibrant. And I can feel it in every cell. And I'm so grateful. I've read so much about the illness that I'm currently going through and the many side effects and how long people take to heal. And I just absolutely quantum leapt. Like, I know people who've been healing this for 15 years, and I'm so blessed that I've done this in 6 months. But when we don't ask our spirit team to help us, we don't get answers. When we test our spirit team, they're not going to respond because they know it's a test, because the test is for you to trust. And I got reminded of this week, that you have to invite them in, that you have to say, hi, I really need some support right now. Can you help? Because otherwise you're giving up your free will. And we came here to remember that we are free. that we are the creators, that we are God, that we are source, that we are manifestors made in God's image. We came here, honestly, to create heaven on earth. And every time we incarnate, it just keeps getting better and better and better, because we're going through so many evolutionary changes. We're going through so much. And every time we pass away, we remember how great this life can be. Though once we're here for so long, we feel like we fall asleep and we forget that we are free within this life. My guides are trying to channel slightly through this podcast. I did tell them I would be open and willing. But once we realize that everyone can be psychic, everyone can be a medium, everyone can be what some call special, right? Everyone has that choice and that free will. And that's really all it is. And I've helped people who just go, I don't think I can do it, but I'm going to try anyway. And I've watched them succeed time and time again. So you have a choice in this life. You either dedicate it to yourself and growing your energy and supporting yourself in whatever modality makes your heart grow. You can make one up yourself. You're the creator of your reality. Or you can simply wish you were connected, or be remembered you are, and be reminded that you are. Because once you're connected to your psychic gifts, you have a team 24/7 at your beck and call, here to remind you how powerful you are and how intelligent and how you are the creator. You are the writer, you are the director. And they're just going to keep reminding you this again and again and again. And they start to empower you. It's not just having your guides, they're cheerleaders. They're way showers. They're energy healers. They're seers and oracles for the future. They show us our strength reflected back because our guides are us. Our spirit team are not someone outside of us, but part of the big creation of the universe we created. You and I together. Every guide, every human, every other being on every other planet, we created the world. We created this game because we thought it would be fun. And spirit will remind you this again and again to enjoy life, to take it with less seriousness, but everything will be all right. For you incarnated with all you need, for all you have, you see is within you, my dear. For can't you see that you are here to be a leader? You came here to lead yourself 100 versions of you. You came here to teach 1,000,000 versions of you. You came here to write your book. You came here to sing and dance. You came here to be a mom. And so simply you could dance around a fire so deep that filled your heart with such joy. Oh, as you see, as you hear this place, it buzzes with joy. As you see the bees around you, as you let it touch within your heart. As you let this world remind you of how beautiful you are. For it is a reflection of you. A part of you see, that whatever you feel on the inside collectively will be reflected on the external of you. For this is just a hologram, a place to see yourself in clearer visions, in clearer times, to see yourself. For once you realize that your world is a reflection of yourself, of your beliefs, of your truths, you will see that when you believe in yourself, you will create a higher version of yourself. And once you create this higher version of yourself, you will see that the world reflects this. And then it becomes easy. And then it becomes joyful. And then you will see that you can be whatever you want to be. For there are no limitations. Your freedom is why you are here. Even though you feel that you have no free will, many of you trapped inside these walls, these confined cubicles, as if no choice but to go to work tomorrow. But you see, there are 1,000,000 careers and 1,000,000 opportunities to better for you. But you stay still. You stay still, choosing to accept, choosing to accept what you have instead of remember that it can be better. We went into a rhythm and rhyme there into my guides. But I really want to end this week's episode on another teaching. So this morning when I connected to my spirit team, it was so vivid and my family were there, I got a really direct download. Now, one of the reasons so many people do not get messages is because there's a backlog. Now you're probably like, Gabs, what's a backlog? A backlog is messages that were inactioned, and because those messages were inactioned, your frequency hasn't reflected those changes. And those changes would have raised your frequency in some way for the next message to come. So once we start to have a backlog of many messages, life starts to get confusing even as a psychic. And generally at this point, most people would call themselves intuitives and not psychics. But this morning I got a really deep message that I was to book a plane ticket. I actually got this download 2 months ago and I started to prep my girlfriend. But I had to book a plane ticket. I had to change our home in a month. And we had to change countries. So this morning, after my activation, I went in, I booked a flight, we changed our plans, and we did it anyway. Even though we didn't know if it was the right choice. Even though I was like, we've signed a contract. Even though we had these plans. Because I remained open to knowing that the download will always give me a higher vibration, more prosperity, and more love. And my willingness to take the download, to take the guided information from my soul or from another version of me, whether it be outside or inside, I chose to go and ask. And this is one of the biggest teachings I teach in the psychic traineeship that can be summed up into a sentence. If you have a backlog of downloads, your next message will be harder to come by than if you actioned it. And every time fear arises, it's your ego shutting you down. So if you jump into it anyway, you will find your next frequency. So I just want to leave this podcast on a note, on two really important things. One, I am running a free community event this month for empaths. If you are overwhelmed and you don't know where your auric field ends and someone else's begins, because every time you walk into a room, you're like, I don't know if that's my feeling anymore. I'm creating a masterclass to show you how you're actually not an empath, but a psychic, and to walk you through the basic psychic tools you need in order to become psychic. And then thus be in control of your energy and stop being an overwhelmed empath. The second thing is, if you've listened to this podcast the whole way through and you're an avid listener to this podcast, don't forget that you receive $50 off a reading with me. So just use the code community. And that's all for today. Thank you for joining. Thank you for listening. I'm sending you so much love. I hope you have the most beautiful week.
Hey, gorgeous soul. I just wanted to take a moment and say a heartfelt thank you for tuning into this podcast. Your energy and your presence, it means the world to me. If you've been enjoying these podcasts, I have a small favor to ask, and it only takes a few minutes, but it makes a huge difference. If you would leave a review or share your thoughts, it would help us find our tribe and continue spreading this beautiful, empowering work. Your feedback helps more like-minded souls discover our community, and it inspires me to keep creating content that resonates deeply with you. So if you're feeling the love, please hit that review button. Let's grow this community together, continue to uplift, inspire, and transform. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being part of this journey with me. I can't wait to connect with you again in the next episode. But Until then, I want to remind you there is a community here. If you jump to my website, join our community, come to the free monthly activations or masterclasses, and don't forget, in the community hub, there is a question and answers channel. And if you've ever wanted a podcast on a specific thing or you've wanted to drop a question, go drop it in there. I want to make this podcast specifically for you. I want you to learn what you want to know, and I want you to become the best psychic you can be. And I'm just along for the journey. So go drop your questions, and I'm going to see you next week.